Matthew Williams here with a quick video. Not going to be quick, but I'll try and make it quick. Linda Moulton Howe's done a so-called investigation. It's very shabby, very poorly researched. She hates my guts, but she's actually used one of my photos at the beginning, which I'm sure she'll be horrified about. It's called the Crop Circle Connector Copyright 2016 photo, and that is the very first photograph in her article. So isn't that funny, considering she hates my guts? And she will be horrified probably to find out that she's published one of my photos. Anyway, she says, oh yes, it's mothership glass. Well, we've all heard that, you know. She says that Karen Price was contacted by her and put the phone down. Well, considering Linda Moulton Howe's abrasive manner, and I'm sure it would have been quite accusational in the way that Linda was putting this call across, is it any surprise that Karen Price put the phone down on her? Which Linda sort of, you know, is trying to illustrate that Karen Price is not being helpful. I think Karen Price has been probably inundated completely with people wanting to speak to her about this crop formation. When I spoke to her, she said that she'd had her guts full of it, and that you know, she said that the Mexican people had wanted to do an interview with her, and she said she's quite happy for them to go out and do stuff in the field, and they can go and do whatever they want for as long as they want out in the field, but she doesn't want to become part of a big media thing, you know, with her face on it. You know, she doesn't want to be there to be the front for that piece. So, you know, this is why she's not speaking to the media, is because, you know, this is something that she didn't plan, didn't expect to happen, and therefore this is why she doesn't want to speak to people like Linda, because it just adds fuel to, you know, whoever's doing so-called investigation. She doesn't want to speak to them. So anyway, Linda says that she got this guy Ian Hulling, who's a computer technician who I've never heard of, who's a contributor to her Earth Files page, and he's done a very scant, it appears to me, scant investigation where he says he spoke to 2 people out of 127 people that live in the village, apparently, and he spoke to 2 of them, and one of them is, you have to discount their testimony immediately as being complete nonsense, because they say they knew it for certainty that it was man-made because they read it in a local newspaper. So they know for certainty that something is the way it is because a local newspaper said it. Well, hang on a minute, that's second-hand information. That's somebody else said it, so it must be true, right? That's not eyewitness, that's not first person, right? That's called hearsay, and that wouldn't stand up in a court because it's not backed up by anything, right? Now, there's no local newspaper that I am aware of that has published factual information saying that this was man-made. Okay, so he says that he knows the owners of the farm shop, and that was all he was prepared to say. Well, again, by saying you know the owners of the shop doesn't actually say anything. That's like saying, well, I know the Queen, you know, because she lives in London. Would you believe anything I told you about my witness testimony to do with the Queen? No, because, well, I know them, you know, I do know them, they do exist, I know them. Third-hand information, disconnected, not eyewitness, it's classed as hearsay, it's throw-out, yeah? So if this first witness has got their facts wrong regarding a local paper saying that this was definitely man-made, and I'm fairly certain that no local newspaper has said in any factual way that this was a man-made formation, if that guy has got his facts wrong, then he wouldn't be able to be used in a court of law as a witness, because he would be regarded as what is known as unreliable. Unreliable. Okay, so that witness, throw that one out. So witness 2. Resident 2 gives an eyewitness account, right? Eyewitness account. Okay, so this person then goes on to say that they saw a team of 8 people over 2 weeks with lasers and head torches working in this area. Now hang on a minute, let's just do a reality check here now. Okay, if you were going to do a big formation like this and you were able to work in the day, because what this person is alleging is that this team was working at night with head torches and lasers and working in the day. Now if you were working in the day as well as the night, why would you bother to work in the night for 2 weeks? Okay, why would you do that? Why would you need to work in the night if you had the freedom to work in the day? The only reason that teams would work at night is because they wouldn't want to be seen. Yeah, they wouldn't want to be seen, or perhaps they were doing a demonstration to prove that you can work at night in the dark. But hang on a minute, if you're working at the night in the dark and you're using head torches, doesn't that kind of give your presence away? And anyone that would look in who would see head torches would know that somebody was in a field doing something. So it kind of defeats the object a little bit, doesn't it? And if you have got permission, which I'm not saying they had, but if you had permission to work in the day or the night, and it was a highly complicated formation design, would you work at night if you didn't have to? Having to use head torches, you know? It's mentioned about lasers. I'd be very interested to know how this witness would know there was a laser there. Okay? Speaking as a circle maker, how would this person know there was lasers there? As an eyewitness. An eyewitness. Yeah? So this means they've seen this with their own eyes, which I doubt very much. I think this is just supposition. Right? But if they've seen it with their own eyes, how do they know there are lasers there? Or laser. Or lasers. How do they know there's lasers there? Right? The reason I say this is because I've used lasers to make crop circles at night. And you know the reason people use them is because they're so dim. They're so dim that you can only see the beam for a very short distance, and you can't even see the beam. You can't see a beam of light coming out of the laser. You just see a dot. You could just see the red dot, and that red dot will basically only go a certain distance and is very hard to see. Okay, so how would somebody know that a laser was being used? It doesn't make any sense, because outside, standing on the edge of the field, you wouldn't even know that there was a laser being used unless it was pointed straight at your eyes, which doesn't happen. Yeah? So how the hell does this alleged eyewitness say that there was a laser being used? That to me sounds a bit suspect, because you really don't see these lasers. You don't see them. Okay? So that's bullshit. And why would people walk around with head torches on at night trying to do something that they could do in the day if they've got allegedly 2 weeks to work on it? Okay? Then there's evidence that, well, nobody saw them during the day from the farm shop. Nobody saw them because there were the pick your own farm has these rows of plantations, and they're rows and aisles, and they say, well, you can't see the field. It's actually this Ian Halling and Linda Moulton Howe have put forward the idea you can't see the field. Okay, I'll give you the quote now. The plants are covered up with plastic coverings, and I was told this berry cover-up is to keep the general public from seeing what is going on in the wheat field when it was being turned into the mothership glass logo pattern. Now that is so stupid. That's completely and utterly wrong. I can tell you this for a fact, right? For fact, because the photo underneath that statement in the Moulton Howe article, right, actually shows these plants, right, only 50% of the plants are covered, and their 50% of the plants are off to the right-hand side, okay? To the left-hand side, which is the view you have from the shop to the field, there's no plastic coverings, right? So all the plastic coverings are out where there's no crop circle out there. That's the hillside. That's another farm, okay? That's the side that's covered by plastic. And the side that isn't covered by plastic, you can see straight across. And the funny thing is, if you look at the photo, you can even see, because it's only about 5 foot high, you can actually see over the top of the plastic, and you can see that in the photo. You can see over the top of the plastic directly into the field, right? And where the crop circle appeared, you can see from the photo, you can actually see where the crop circle appeared, there is the bit where there is no plastic. And you can see that in the photo supplied. So the person who's saying these plants are covered up with plastic coverings, and they were told that this cover helped to keep the general public from seeing what was going on. No, because the general public can go through the plastic area covered bits, and they can go through the other bits that are on the side, plus there are plantations further down which is sparse trees which are spread out. There's no reason at all that somebody standing in there picking fruit wouldn't have a clear view into that section of the field. So whoever is the witness who is making this statement that they couldn't see what was going on, you can see that field from the farm shop. You can see that field if you stand on the edge of the road and look through the hedge. You can see the field there, but you can definitely see it from the farm shop, and you can see it from the pick your own area. You can see it from there. You can see it from the hillside, and people walk their dogs up on the hill and look down. Are you telling me that somebody from that farm, and you've got numerous people who work there, right, didn't see people out in that field for a period of 2 weeks? 2 weeks? Yeah? So what are they saying then? That nobody bothered to go over and find out what was going on if there were people out there doing something? The only other possible explanation is that everyone was involved, you know, that all the people there were involved in it, and the pick your own farm people knew about it. But, you know, working for 2 weeks, that's a long time. And I think this person actually, when you break it down, this person's story claims they're an eyewitness, right? They claim they're an eyewitness to this, yeah? And they say they're working there for 2 weeks. I don't think this would have been created in 2 weeks. If this is a man-made formation, this would have been created in a day, 2 days, 3 days max, yeah? I mean, look at some of the biggest formations that have appeared out there, yeah? How long have they taken to create? Yeah, they'd come down in 1 day, 2 days, yeah? So why would this formation, right, suddenly take 2 weeks to create? I know some people have said, oh, it's highly complicated. It's not so complicated that it would take 2 weeks. I think a dedicated, experienced team could probably take a couple of days to make something like that, yeah? 1 or 2 days. So, that's just my guess. So where does that fit in with this eyewitness who says that it took 2 weeks? I tell you where it fits in. It fits in neatly in a cylindrical package, tightly fitted up the arsehole of the witness, who sounds like they're making it up. And this is quite common, you know, it's quite common for people to do this, to sound a little bit more important than they are. Oh yes, I know they were out there were teams of people, eight people out there, and they were there for 2 weeks, and they were working and day and night, and it's like, really? Really? That sounds fucking stupid, yeah? So I think that Ian Halling has actually spoken to a bunch of wannabes who are like, yeah, I know what's going on. Yeah, I know the people, you know, but I can't go on the record. I can't have my name. Do you know why these people don't want their names on the record? Because they know they're talking shit. Yeah? They know they're talking through their arse. That's why they won't go on the record with their names. If they even exist. Because, of course, the burden of proof is on Ian Halling, who tells us that these are real people and this is their story. We've only got his word for it. And, you know, his word and the word of these people, it sounds like second-hand, third-hand hearsay information. So I'm not impressed. And just in the same way as Colin Andrews got berated for bringing out a bunch of names of people that were probably connected with making this crop circle, turned out that none of those people were actually connected with making that crop circle. I asked them, right? None of them had any involvement with this design. So, you know, Colin got it wrong, you know, now Linda's got it wrong, you know, I mean, you're all reaching, you're reaching, you know, it's kind of like, but this is the trouble with crop circles. It's not about facts. It's not about facts. It's about stories. Okay, so that's my 2 penneth. So thanks for watching. Oh yes, as a post addendum, which this is amazing, right? There's a photograph which shows some green bindweed. Okay, and then it says some photos were taken by Miles Johnson after the pattern became public, which showed bindweed that grows over the top of flattened crop. Okay, that was considered evidence that the crop pattern had been laid down for some time by the time of these photos, right? So, okay, hang on a minute, it grows over the top of flattened crop. Okay, so if we refer back to my photo, which is the very first photo in Linda's article, right? I hate to point this out to you, Linda, but if you look at the photo of standing crop, you've got the formation there, but if you look at standing crop, there are green patches throughout that field, and it's standing crop. Not flattened crop, standing crop. And do you know what? Some of the formation, the design, like the leaf bits, the 3-edged leaf, quite a lot of that is green. And it's still standing. So that's inside the formation, outside the formation. This stuff is growing in the field already. This stuff is in the field. So it's in there when it got flattened down. So this is how bad your research is and your cognitive ability to put 1 and 1 together to make 2, Linda. Yeah, the evidence is there for you in the photos in your own article, and you're just not even looking. Okay, and I'm sorry, the day that Miles Johnson comes out with anything credible, right, and he certainly knows nothing about crop circles, but the day that he comes out with anything credible will be a day that I sit up and take notice, because quite frankly I think he's a very, very poor researcher. In fact, I'm going to coin a new term now. These are not researchers, right? These are reach searchers, because they're fucking reaching, okay? Okay, so these are reach searchers. So I'm coining a new term. It's armchair reach search. Yeah? Okay, so thanks very much for watching.